Hi, everybody, and welcome back to an episode of Andrew Discusses, where today I'm going to be probably burning about every nerd bridge I know of. Yes, today's a day that I'm probably going to be pissing off at least 75% of the internet. You know what? Bring it on. I think I'm ready for this battle. I think I'm prepared for this. Don't know how well, but I'm willing to give it a shot. So, anyway, what am I discussing today? Today, I am discussing the Star Wars movies and which ones were the best and which ones were just a total fucking dumpster fire. And this is going to be fun. So, for starters, I want to stress the following. The 4 or 5 Disney ones that are out, and I'm going with all of them from The Force Awakens straight through to the last one that came out, I am putting dead last. Mostly because, A, I haven't seen them, so I would have to be going off of fan reaction for them. B, I have no intention to see them, because as far as I'm concerned, Episode 6 ended the goddamn franchise way before it ever started anyway. And 3, and C3 anyway, I really don't want to dive into this. You want my full opinion on them? Here it is. All of them sucked. Disney had no right to pick up the Star Wars monocle again. That was a gigantic train wreck, and George Lucas should honestly be ashamed of himself for even selling out to Disney. There, I said it. Okay? You had to do 2 solo movies and 3 for the fucking series. So that's 5 movies in total. And before anybody goes, there wasn't 5 movies. Force Awakens, Force Unleashed, Rise of the Skywalkers were the 3 main ones. Then you had Solo and Rogue One. 5 movies. Didn't need. Okay, so those 5 movies, as far as I'm concerned, you hear that? I just Thanos snapped their asses out of existence. Listen again. They're gone. It's wonderful. I feel so great about it. So we're going to be talking about the 6 original movies. Basically, the original 3 movies, so the original trilogy, and the prequels. And out of those 6, I'm going to put an order here, at least in my opinion anyway. And keep in mind, this is my opinion. Which ones were good and which ones were bad. So, because I want to make numerical order make sense into this entire nightmare, I'm going to start off with Episode 1. So, Episode 1 was The Phantom Menace. That's the one that came out, I think it was like 2001-ish or 2000. Either way, it wasn't very good when it came out. It sucked. Fans have hated this movie. I am actually in agreement with that. The Jedi got, like, sidelined. There was more Naboo bullshit. I swear to God, I think I know more about the Trade Federation and the Naboo people than I do anything else. And if you want to make an entire movie sound like C-SPAN, then feel free and go watch Episode 1 of Phantom Menace. That was a fucking nightmare of a bullshit shit show. As far as I'm concerned, I mean, you had a really good villain in Darth Maul. To a point, but then just completely bitch-slapped the entire concept of it. You have Anakin Skywalker. The pod race, I will admit, was pretty cool. But you had the whole, here, I'm going to train this kid, and then Qui-Gon dies. And Obi-Wan's forced to train the kid then. And it's like, why? What the hell is the point of this? And if you never saw the original 3 movies, as in episodes 4, 5, and 6, you weren't entirely lost because this was the stuff that took place before that. But again, was completely and totally pointless. You could have easily just skipped over episode 1. Come episode 2, you're not missing anything. You will pick right back up where you left off in episode 2 and not have a problem. So, for that reason, episode 1, as far as which ones were good and bad, is so far down on this list, it's pretty much sharing a room with the Disney movies in Thanos' version of hell. So, there's that. Number 2, which was the Clone Wars. The Clone Wars wasn't a bad movie. I actually kind of like this one. It's one of my few favorite Star Wars films. Ironically, because of the massive battle at the end of it with the Jedi and the battle droids. Yes, I am a fan of the Jedi, and I know a lot of people throw the Jedi under the bus with, oh my god, the Jedi were a worthless cause. They took up 90% of the screen time. You take out the Jedi from every Star Wars thing, and it's a beautiful series. No, I get that. I don't agree with it, but I get it. I think the issue that I liked about this was the fact that it brought so much more to the table. You had the whole clone army being made. You had the entire, like, droids versus clones versus Jedi. And it honestly was so good. I liked it. In fact, I actually bought it on DVD mostly because of how good it was. You had, like, Anakin being trained, screwing up, messing up, and realizing that, hey, I'm not perfect, but still trying to crack a good joke about it every now and then. Of course, like I said, fans hate this one a bit too, but not as much as The Phantom Menace. So, as far as I would go, this one's not bad, but it's definitely not high up material. This is like still mediocre range, but there is that. So, number 3, though, for me, and for the franchise too, if you're going in numerical order, would be Revenge of the Sith. This one I love. I love this movie. You have Grievous, who basically gets owned by Obi-Wan in the movie. And the only thing that I didn't like about this movie, and the only issue that I can really throw here, is you had to have watched the Clone Wars series in order to understand what the fuck is happening in Revenge of the Sith. So you have Obi-Wan and Anakin going to the one starship where Palpatine's being held. Palpatine, we later find out, is Sidious. And yeah, he's the Emperor of the Dark Side. He is basically going to become all-powerful. You have Grievous, like I mentioned. Dooku gets killed by Anakin. You have Grievous. There was a cutscene where the Jedi was killed in front of Obi-Wan and Anakin, and yeah, I'm kind of glad that got cut because she did play an important role, at least in some of the video games. I don't know what exactly is considered canon in the Star Wars realm, and I could probably get a lecture and a half from a Star Wars fan if I were to ask, so I'd really rather not have that discussion. But Episode 3 for me is one of my all-time favorites, especially the climactic battle between Anakin and Obi-Wan at the end of the movie is one of my favorite battles in all of science fiction. It ranks up there in my top 10 at least. Yoda's battle with Palpatine wasn't bad. It was a hell of a lot better than that like 1-minute fight he had with Dooku in the second movie, which they led up to that and then just pissed it away. Like it was nothing. It was like about a minute to a minute and a half, and it sucked. It wasn't that great. Yoda was just hopping around like a frog. And this one, he actually at least was doing some stuff, and it was pretty good. So yeah, Episode 3 is one of my favorites, and gets ranked pretty high up on the list of solid movies, wholeheartedly, out of the Star Wars franchise. So then, we go into Episode 4. Episode 4, A New Hope, was the starting point of the entire franchise. And I love how a lot of people were making the joke like, well, you have Episode 4, where's Episodes 1, 2, and 3? And then we get them years later. It's sort of like the same thing that Mel Brooks used to do, or used to probably get criticized for. I think he might still get criticized for, too. With History of the World Part 1, and people wanting to know when Part 2 is coming out. Of course, there was also the underlying joke that I remember reading once for Spaceballs, that they were going to make a sequel, and it was going to be called Spaceballs 3, The Search for Spaceballs 2. But that would have been... I would have loved that. I would have loved that. But yeah, Episode 4 wasn't a bad movie. For me, though, basing it upon the 6 that I want to discuss here, my issue with number 4 is flat out, 100% flat out, the fact that it feels so drawn out with Rescue Leia, that it defeats the entire purpose of what the movie's trying to establish. And this was the starting point for the entire franchise. And it's like every time you turn around, it's like, oh yeah, we gotta rescue Leia. Luke, I will train you to be a Jedi like your father. We gotta rescue Leia. We arrive at Alderaan. We've gotta rescue Leia. You know, whatever happened to that bounty hunter you pissed off back on Tatooine? Don't worry about it. We gotta rescue Leia. It was the whole Leia thing. And even after she got rescued, then all of a sudden it shifted to, now we have to destroy the Death Star. And there really wasn't a feel for why they needed to. I mean, you knew why, but it basically just seemed like they moved right into, okay, we've rescued Leia, now let's blow up the gigantic floating planet in the sky. You know, that completely wiped Alderaan out of existence. And I didn't appreciate that. It felt too shoved down your throat. And the worst part of this movie, for me anyway, was the fact that you had a lightsaber battle between Obi-Wan Kenobi and Darth Vader. And it was like the midpoint of the movie, because you still had the whole blow up the Death Star afterwards. And it's like, what the hell? What's the point of this? And I'm just shaking my head, and I'm like, no. So, if I'm gonna rank these things, Episode 4 is above Episode 1, but it's definitely on the lower end of the spectrum. So, Episode 5, which was The Empire Strikes Back. I like this one for the AT-ATs, those giant walkers at the start of the movie. I loved those things when I was a kid. When I saw this movie the first time I was a kid, I was like, oh my god, those things are cool. And I ended up getting like a Micro Machines thing of it that I thought was really badass. I loved it. Sure, okay, it's impossibly stupid. I mean, one well-placed rocket will take down those legs, because they are so thin it isn't funny. I mean, you pretty much blow through them with something, they're going to go down on the ground hard. And I'm like, no, I'm good. I like this. I really wish they would have improved upon it a little bit, but I like those. Those were really cool. And the whole, we're going to go to Cloud City. Oh, Vader's already at Cloud City because Lando Calrissian already sold him out. And Han Solo gets frozen in carbonite, and Vader's just like, I love the part where Vader's just a badass in that part, in the city. He just holds his hand up, uses the Force to stop Solo's blaster, then just takes the blaster right from his hand. It's like, yeah, I am the omnipotent power here, and you're just gonna try to take me out with a blaster? Please, child. And I love that. That is one of the best moments, I think. It's one of the best scenes in that movie. But, yeah, then the whole Luke finding out that Vader's his father, loses his arm, gets the robot arm at the end of the movie as he's watching everybody going out to search for Solo. I thought that was pretty cool. Plus, there's the entire, hey, I'm going to go find Yoda, and I'm going to train with Yoda, who's on Dagobah, and basically is sitting there, waiting for Luke to show up. He knows what Luke's coming for. He was, he talked to Obi-Wan, who's now a spirit, and told him, hey, you got to tell him to come see me. It's time for him to get proper training. You half-assed it, now it's my turn to fix it. And I appreciate that for the fact that it makes sense after you watch the other movies. Specifically episodes 2 and 3, it makes a lot more sense. But in the hindsight of it, it was a good way to shoehorn him in because you needed to have Yoda in the movies. And I love that. Plus, it's just funny seeing Mark Hamill get told off by a fucking puppet. I love that. That is the best. I can just picture him getting told off by Grover or something if he had ever showed up on Sesame Street. I think he did. I think he did do a guest spot on Sesame Street at one point. But still, I find it hilarious. So I love Episode 5 gets pretty high marks for me. Definitely. But then, of course, as with all good things, it has to come to an end. We have Episode 6. And Episode 6, for me, royally screws the pooch at 90% of the way. And I want to explain what I mean by that before I go any further. Episode 5 was a very good point. If you're considering the original trilogy, the Luke story, where you learn how Luke learns he's a Jedi, or he can become a Jedi. He's training to be a Jedi, then he masters being a Jedi. That's basically his coming of age. And then the final one being the one Disney movie where he sacrifices himself. And you know what? I consider that, I still consider that bullshit. I really do. But then again, they killed Solo off, so who cares? Yeah, what bothers me about Episode 6, it seems like we jumped so far into the future and we jumped so far ahead into this that it doesn't want to make sense anymore. It almost seemed like they put effort into fixing it and making it good, but at the same time, they had nowhere else to go and they knew they wrote themselves into a damn corner. It doesn't feel like it should have been completed. It doesn't feel like it was a well-made movie. Yet it was good, but it was not a well-made movie. So, what I don't like about it, the forcefulness that you have Luke Skywalker now as the Master Jedi. He is literally the last Jedi that you know of. Okay? Unless more of them can be found with the midichlorians, but there's a good chance they're in hiding or were taken by some of the surviving Jedi from Order 66, which I like Order 66 from the third movie. I thought that was a really cool, especially the command. Execute Order 66, and it's basically Massacre the Jedi. Set off to that beautiful music, by the way, which was really good. But with Episode 6, it was just a complete and total Luke's the last Jedi. He's gonna go up against Vader and then up against the Emperor. He barely held his own against Vader when he fought him on in the Cloud City. What in the hell makes him think he is gonna be able to take him on now? Nothing has changed. Oh, you have a little more training from the creature in the swamp on Dagobah. What did he do? He taught you how to raise your X-Wing out of the swamp water. He taught you how to feel the Force around you. That's it. He basically gave you how to be a Jedi level 1. Come back to me next month for $9.99 and I'll teach you how to be a Jedi level 2. That one I'll teach you how to throw your lightsaber, use the Force to hold it, and you can spit it in your hand and take out multiple enemies and have it come back to you. I don't understand that. Nothing changed much between the second and third one of the original trilogy, other than the fact that time elapsed. You had the whole Leia slave thing, which, yeah, I've heard it from so many people, and Carrie Fisher even had done an interview years ago where she had made the comment that, in all honesty, the angle she was sitting at and the skimpy outfit she had to wear, she felt like she was basically giving everybody on the set a show. It was basically, they look one way and they're going to see straight up there. She goes, there was nothing being hidden to the imagination in that. And I didn't like it. Episode 6 for me was a piss-off point. You have the whole, Vader finally comes to his senses and takes down the Emperor. Great. He did it in the most stupidest of ways because Luke finally awakens him and it's like, you need to help me. He was willing to let you die. He was willing to kill you in the 5th movie to keep you from being attacked by the Emperor. That was him wanting to be a parent. He figured, you're going to come if you attack me. You're going to get stronger. You're going to come. You're going to attack the Emperor. I can't have that. The Emperor will kill you. I don't have the strength to stop him. And he really didn't. But then, of course, you have the entire Luke Skywalker becomes the last Jedi. He's suddenly omnipotent with power. Vader comes to his senses, saves him, gets damaged, and dies in the process. Because basically Luke takes him to the hangar, which I'm amazed nobody tried to stop him. It's like, oh my god, Lord Vader! That guy's kidnapping Lord Vader! Shoot him! I'm amazed nobody tried to stop that. Oh no, they were too terrified because the second Death Star is blowing up. You have the whole Ewok planet, the whole thing with them. No, it was the Endor. It was the moon of Endor, I thought. I think it was the moon of Endor. Either way, it's freaking... It was a stupid movie. I didn't like number 6. In the whole series, I hated it with a passion. It felt like a middle finger. And then, the fact that you have Anakin, or yeah, well, no, technically you have Anakin. You have Luke giving his father a burial, basically a funeral, the same style that, you know, Qui-Gon got, but I do not remember Obi-Wan or Yoda getting that. Yoda just dies in the swamp. I don't remember Luke giving him a funeral. Then again, I might have missed that part. But I know Obi-Wan just vanished in the thin fucking air because Vader's like tapping his, loose robe that's down on the floor. Like, where the hell did he go? What the hell? I know I'm powerful, but I just sliced through him and he vanished like a fart in the wind. I didn't like that in the fourth one. I didn't like the fact that they brought him back in the sixth. And it's like, you're a Force ghost. I've read up on the whole Force ghost thing. You're basically putting yourself in a living hell. You're eventually going to become one with the Force. You have to. It's how the world works. But no, you're going to be a Force ghost so that you can, communicate with Luke and continue to train him. But yet you never actually did any solid training other than, again, the basics on how to be a Jedi. I didn't enjoy the original trilogy, basically. But out of the 6 movies, this would be the order that I would put them in for watch, definitely. I mean, if you don't mind throwing it out of continuity, this is the order that you should really watch the movies in, because this is the order that this is the way that I like them. These are the rankings that I give them, for best to worst. 3, 2, 5, 4, 6, 1. Technically, 4 and 6 are tied at the same spot, and 1's right straight down in the bowels of hell. And the whole Disney quintuplets series for it can just burn right in hell along with them. I'm not a huge fan of those either. So that's it. That's what I got for Star Wars. Those are how I would put the movies. Third would be first for me. I love that one. Episode 2 is a close second, literally. Episode 5 would be number 3. Tied near the end would be 4 and 6, and Episode 1, Phantom Menace, straight down at the bottom of the list. And that's where I stand by it. But let me know what your thoughts are. Which Star Wars movies did you like, and how would you rank them in order from one I liked the most to one you liked the least? Let me know in the comments section below, and until next time, I'm Andrew Rhodes, and this has been Andrew Discusses. Thanks for tuning in, everybody.